to my computer. Okay, and we are set. Wonderful. Well,
I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode here.
yeah, that's actually how I missed your FaceTime, actually, because I silence everything when I do these talks with people. So I'm so sorry for that.
That's okay. I silence my phone continuously.
Sometimes it's needed. It really, really is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for everyone watching at home, welcome back to the third ever episode of Life Talks. I am joined today by the wonderful Brenda, and I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Is it Posani?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brenda Posani. And I hope it is okay to announce you like this. She is a renowned psychic here in Westerville. She is the owner of Crystal Nirvana that I had the
Mystic Nirvana.
Oh, Mystic Nirvana. I'm so sorry. Of Mystic Nirvana that I had the pleasure of going to the first time a couple of weeks ago. I actually shared this with Brenda a couple of weeks ago. I was not having the best day. And as my girlfriend and I, we were just taking a drive through town, and there's still a lot to Columbus and specifically Westerville that we haven't gotten to explore yet. And well, you know, COVID and everything like that. So we decided to stop. The shop stood out to me, went inside, looked around, talked to your associate, and I came out feeling so much better, and it was such a positive environment. And so when I was thinking of like, okay, who in the area could I reach out to in terms of like has a successful small business? And I don't really like the term small business, because to me, especially when you have, you know, an establishment and you have a lot of customers and you just have a great positive atmosphere, like the business is not small. It's not small into someone's life. It's a very impactful business. So I have like a love-hate relationship with that term, but yeah, I absolutely loved your shop, and I absolutely love the atmosphere there.
Well, thank you so much. That's really.
Oof. Oh no, I lost you.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I can imagine you have some stories to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we are back and we are recording. So hopefully that never happens again. I can't believe it just like cut out like that. My application shut off and my computer said, no, you're not talking to her today.
Wow. Yeah, it'd be crazy if it did happen again.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, yeah, so back to this. You know, just having gone over, you know, stopping over there at your shop and everything, and you know the impact that it had. I heard you say thank you, and it sounded like you were going to say something else. Do you want to continue? No way.
Spiritual shop like this to always have a good energy flowing.
Yeah.
You know, because this is what it's all about, right? You know, and who don't need positive energy during this time dealing with what we are dealing with in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and COVID took everyone by surprise. I'm not sure if there's anyone who was aware that like something like this was going to come on and life was going to change. And then, you know, just everything that we are witnessing here across the US and across the globe, really. I mean, it's just as much positive vibes and as much positive energy as people can get. You definitely need it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen an increase in people's searching out things, tools, stones, crystals,
Yeah.
you know, anything they can just to give them that little boost.
Right.
Positively. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, and one of the things that I've noticed too is like you have individuals who will search for some sort of spiritual connection as well. And then you have individuals who, even when they're a little bit hesitant about like a spiritual connection, they're just not sure where to go. Like they're not sure how to use their resources. They're not sure how to like get the information that they need to really help them. And it's just like, part of the whole reason why I'm trying to put as much free and healthy information out there for people. It's like, no, you guys can't be successful and happy, and you guys can't have happy lives. And coming from the upbringing that I did, I know firsthand like how hard that is to even like fathom those words, let alone attempt it yourself. So, just really trying to put out all of the positive energy, the positive motivation. And in doing that, I get to have wonderful conversations with individuals such as yourself. And it all works out. It all works out.
Yeah, sure does. Always.
So tell me, how did Mystic Nirvana come to be?
Well, it's kind of bizarre, actually. I was in outside sales, if you can believe it. I was in the telecom world back when they had outside sales people that would, and I sold business to business. It wasn't residential. It was bigger fiber optic stuff and telephone systems and stuff like that. So, and it was good for me, but it was very stressful. And I had done, been in this world before and kind of stepped away from it. And kind of just wanted to make a lot of money. You know how it is.
Yeah.
And it was okay until till the stress got to me. And then I was like, okay, I've had it, and I told my husband, I said, I know you don't believe me, because he didn't meet me when I did it before, years ago, back in the 90s. And I said, but I think I'm supposed to have a shop. I actually seen it in my head, and I was like, I'm in Westerville. I could see the windows and everything. I was doing like a little self-hypnosis. I never even thought about having a shop before. And it just kind of, the picture came in my head, and I went, oh, I got a shop in Westerville. So, it was crazy how it happened, because I seen where I was and everything. So even though when I told my husband, I said, I know you don't believe me, but I really believe I'm supposed to have this shop. And I know I can make it work. It hit me hard. And, a lot of people that are, have that passion and drive to do certain things, singers or whatever, they always say, I just know it in my gut. Like, I'm supposed to do this. And that was kind of like me. And my husband, bless him, he was like, okay. And I was like, okay, what do we need to do? Let's go find a building. And we just did it. And we didn't even have the money or anything to do it. We just went out on a link on that. I know that I know. And sometimes that's all you got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, like, I have chills right now. I love how you pointed that out, how it came to be for you, where you had the idea, like it just so strongly came to you, so strongly a part of you, and you followed through with it because you recognized that what it was you were feeling, the idea was stronger than just your average, oh, hey, I kind of, want to do this, or I want to do that. Like it very much stood out to you. And that, for anyone watching this, that is very powerful right there. So, I've shared part of my experiences, like in the first video that I did, Surviving Troubled Childhood, I talked about what got me through a lot of that. And what got me through a lot of that was the idea that there was something more out there. The idea that I can be happy, families can be healthy, and that can be achievable. I don't know how, because obviously I was a child at the time, but when I become of age and I get my life together, then I can, research, I can make that happen for me. And so I did. The same thing here with, being an aspiring speaker, wanting to innovate and motivate into people's lives, establish wonderful connections with people, getting to have wonderful talks and getting to hear people's stories and everything that just resonated with me. Like that really stood out to me. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a education past high school, and my social skills always need improving. So how can I achieve this even though I don't have any of those credentials? So with that, it was just mindset of, okay, just like my entire life, I'm going to have to build something out of nothing here. I'm going to have to put myself on the line. I'm going to have to just jump in. And if I can't swim, I'm going to have to figure out how to swim. And one way or another, I will stay afloat. And I've been on this journey since, I think I started it mid to end December of 2020. So only, 5 months in, trying to get across on, social media platforms and everything, but trying to make it as professional and as real as possible. This is a huge learning experience for me. And one of the things that I'm trying to promote and try to teach is failing forward. Like, there's going to be the small mistakes and hiccups and things like that. But failure in those moments are not the end. It's failing forward. It's learning from it. It's continuing to grow and follow your passion. And it's definitely worked out so far, because here I am getting to talk to your wonderful self. We're getting to talk about your success and how life has been for you. And it's working out. So that's very important. If you have an idea, something stands out to you, and it's just, you resonate with it on an internal part, definitely follow through with it. Definitely educate yourself. Definitely do what you can to make that happen. That's why we're here talking right now.
Right. Yeah, it was like, I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know. I'm the most unorganized person in the world.
I appreciate the honesty.
I am ADHD. I mean, off the hook. I mean, trying to pinpoint me down to a schedule, crazy.
Sure.
But I knew at the end of the day, it was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I couldn't make up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was it was scary not figuring out the process, or knowing the process of how it was going to happen.
Sure.
But it wasn't scary because I knew that I knew that I knew.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, like, in doing this and trying to prepare myself for Isabella Tate Speaks, and, how do I interview people, and how do I have conversations, and how do I make this, watch worthy for people? And doing that, I've had to do a lot of research into the type of work that I want to go into, my career path that just stands out to me. And in doing that, what you're describing right there is in a lot of people's success stories of how, it's so personal with them, and you're not sure how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, most importantly, because you're going to make it happen. You are going to follow through with it. And it's not about whether you're going to sink or you're swim. You're going to jump in and figure out how to keep swimming.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's the way it happens when we're kids, right? When they put you on the bicycle, your dad pushes you down the hill, and you just got to make it work,
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, in that situation, you don't get a choice. You have to kick your feet and, throw those arms and keep yourself up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, one thing I've learned too is, as long as you're always authentic and real, people will always tune in.
Oh, yeah.
Come back. That's what they want. They get enough schmoozing and a lot of fakeness, when you can be real, and especially like what you're doing, just keep it your personality and let it shine. And there's no question it'll be successful.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm a very emotional person at times. And so I'm trying to hold back the happiness and tears right now. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I will release them later on. But no, I mean,
baby too. We'll just cry together.
Yeah. I mean, and you do bring up a good point right there. We'll cover real quick, authenticity. in doing the research, I've actually come across individuals who, they're putting out, okay, why didn't this work for me? Because I do want to understand the mistakes of other people so I can try to not make them as well. So when I was doing that research, a lot of it is, well, I want to make money. Okay, so I need to find things to do to make money. Well, no, not really. I mean, sure, you can do that. And yeah, you might have a chance of whatever amount of money that you want, but you're not believing in the work. You're just after the reward. You have to follow your passion. And if you don't have a passion, then back that up even further and ask yourself, what do I like? What do I, what don't I like? And take it from there. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Because I want people to be successful. I want people to be happy. I want people to be healthy. I want innovation in people's lives. I want innovation in the world. But you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe, part of believing in yourself is knowing what direction you want to go in. And if you don't know what direction you want to go in, admit that you don't know. Like, that's completely okay. I mean, I'm 26 and I have been thinking of doing this for years, but I didn't know exactly how or why I wanted to do it. So I took years to figure that out. It took years of me telling myself, okay, I want to be a speaker. I want to connect with people. I want to put out this information. I want to help people. Okay, but I didn't exactly know what that meant. I didn't exactly know why. So I had to take the time to figure that out. And I don't have all those answers right now, but in that process of figuring that out, it gave me the sense of self-awareness to be able to get started. And I think that's what a lot of people miss.
And I bet you at the end of the day, all it took was knowing how to log on here and just giving you the turn it on, let's go. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, going into this, I'm like, okay, I want this to be professional, right? Like I want to show people that I'm trying to connect with. I want to show my viewers that I'm serious about this, because like I said, not coming from a background that I can use for credibility, literally planting a seed and trying to make this thing grow here, I've got to give it my best shot. Well, in doing that, getting started 4 or 5 months down the road now, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've messed up, here and there and everything, but guess what? I'm farther now than what I was 6 months ago and 7 months ago. So it's completely okay.
And see, people will like that. They'll relate to that, and they'll be like, okay, want to bend your ear about, well, what was those things? And
yeah,
what did you learn, so that I don't have to make those same mistakes?
Exactly. So one thing that I was curious about, with you owning a shop and, having Mystic Nirvana and everything, like, how did you get the ideas of what products you were going to use and how you were going to itemize and everything, or how you were going to create your atmosphere?
Well, I have to say this up front.
Sure.
When I started Mystic back in 2009,
Yeah.
I opened up on Bethel Road in
Okay.
a plaza there across from the refectory, if anybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
And I was in that plaza when I very first started.
Okay.
And now I am a psychic medium,
Mhm.
and I do readings kind of back here in the back
Yeah.
while the store is going on. But from being in this field and doing what I do, I know what people are looking for. I know
Yeah.
tools that they can use to, give them certain energies. I've done healings, my whole life. So I knew kind of going into it
Yeah.
what products they're going to be searching for.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, from your experience being in the field and everything, you knew going in and like, okay, you already had that idea of, if I'm going to set up shop, here's what people do like and what they're attracted to versus what they don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that.
Well, I know, and also too, just a personal experience, what I've had experience with and what worked for me and what
Sure.
I was drawn to. You know, any shop owner is going to buy the things they like first. You know, oh, I want that in there.
Yeah.
And in reality, I just want to take it home. You know?
Right. Is that a strong urge? Like, do you see things in your shop where you're like, okay, that I could use it here, or I really, really want that, but then you're like, no, from a business perspective, I kind of have to leave that be.
Yeah, I do that all the time. All the time.
That's completely fair. I mean, I've not been in your situation of owning a shop and, you know, having products, but I can imagine I would probably have that similar experience.
Yeah.
I-
Well, you know, the thing about the shop is, and I got to say this, I have been so blessed because when I came here to Westerville, I was on Bethel Road. Then I went to Powell, and I was in Powell for about 5 years, 4
Right.
years. But I wasn't really pushing a store there, even though
Sure.
it was more just my readings. Then when I came here to Westerville, it was like, okay, already, because there's nowhere, you know, unless you want to drive 30 minutes to go down Columbus.
Mhm.
There wasn't at the time anything up north here.
Right.
So I had to, you know, that's when I got inspired to really blow the store part up and really focus in on it again, like I had at Bethel Road, because that was
Yeah.
a full store there too.
Right. Right. I love that. Right.
Yeah, but when I came here and opened up the store 2 years ago, or 2 years ago now, 3 years, starting on 3 years, I was blessed because a lady shows up. I hadn't even been open a week.
Yeah.
And she wrote, I don't know if you're familiar with this book, but in every big city, they have a book called 111 Places in Columbus You Cannot Miss.
Yeah.
And she actually put Mystic Nirvana in there.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was so grateful. And she sought me out, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, out of all the businesses, in Columbus, that she would come and pick Mystic Nirvana. So
Right.
that's a little tidbit we got included in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's super exciting. And I think that's one of the most like sort of exciting parts, you know, when it comes to innovating yourself or when it comes to starting a business, is that you never know what's going to be right around the corner.
Right.
Unless you have an idea, but you never know, like, you know, your experience of someone coming in, you know, who had affiliation with that book, who writes that book and everything, to come in and want to put you in and everything, and that right there just like blows it up for you. And that would have never have happened had you not followed through with that thought, with that idea. None of it would have happened.
Well, and shortly after that, A&E called me, and they wanted to do an episode of Psychic Kids here, and
Yeah.
have to be the like mentor
Yeah.
psychic. And my landlord could not get them back the signed paperwork for them to be on the property in enough time,
Oh no.
because they called me on like Monday and they had to be here to do taping on like Thursday.
Yeah.
And so I was so bummed about that. But yeah, all the time, you know, you never know who's going to call, you know.
That is very, very true. And you know, in doing this and having conversations with people, like, you know, life talks aside, just trying to have conversations with people about the direction that I want to go in, you know, their insights, their opinions and things like that, that is something that's really important, you know, having that environment and having that level of honesty, because that level of honesty, you never know who is listening, you never know who is watching. And the thing is, and I came across this when I was listening to a video the other morning, because I love listening to motivational talks in the mornings, especially if I'm waking up and I'm just like all foggy brain and I'm not really feeling it. I'm like, okay, it's my responsibility to get motivated. I got to do what I got to do. So when I was doing that, I came across someone and they had said there are eyes on you when you don't even know it. So, you know, when you are trying to do something, when you're trying to create, when you're trying to inspire, innovate, there are so many eyes on you without you even knowing it. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so comfortable only being 5 months into this right now. You know, a lot of people look at like followers and ratings and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, all of that is going to be important later on. Right now, I'm only 5 months into this, and I'm very much in the foundational stages of this. There's a lot of things that come up to where like I'm having to adjust schedules. How do I make this work? How don't I make that work? Right now is an okay time for me to be able to make those mistakes, switch things around and everything while the count's still low. And I think that's part of what psychs people out, is that they don't think they're going to get the customers. They don't think that they're going to get the viewers and things like that. And it's like, yeah, all of that can happen. And you'll look at that and you'll figure out why that is happening. And then you'll find a way to make sure it doesn't happen.
Do you have that gut down deep? Like, I'm going to make this work.
I do indeed. And this is something that's very important to me. You know, I'm investing a lot of money into equipment that I need, software that I'm using. I'm spending a lot of hours trying to figure out some of this software, even how to make it work and everything. But it's all internal for me. Like I said, this stood out to me for, you know, for the past few years and everything. And one of the very first thoughts that came to mind, you know, when I was thinking of like everything I've been through in life, the direction that I'm going, I wasn't happy with, and everything like that. How can I take all of this, take all the experiences? How can I make something good out of it? How can I put positivity back into the world? And in doing that, and you know, doing the research, doing the thinking, here we are today.
Well, and you know what? I love motivational speakers too. I listen to them all the time too.
Yeah.
But I remember, do you ever watch the guy that did Pet Detective? What's his Jim Carrey?
Oh yes, yeah, he is actually in a few of them, I've noticed.
Yeah, he's a great motivational speaker. I heard him tell a story where before he was ever famous, he just believed down deep. He says, I knew it, but I had a timeline. I had a family and I needed to make some money.
Yeah.
So they said that he would go up on this particular street in California, and he'd sit and overlook the city and the lights. And he said he took out his checkbook, and I think he had $10 to his name or something. And he wrote himself out a check for $1 million or $10 million.
Yeah.
Did you hear that story?
I have heard it. And then he ended up cashing that.
Yeah, he put a date on it, like 5 years down the road. And he was able to cash it, what, like 1 month before?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was really close to the expiration date. Yeah.
So, you know, that's just something, you don't know how it's going to work. You don't always know the process. And yeah, you make mistakes. And yeah, sometimes we look like a fool. But I think willing to look like a fool is what makes you real.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you know, people relate. The authentic way you come across, you know, is important to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could not agree more with that. I mean, and you know, this can be situational. Like there's so many avenues that we could talk on, and I've only got you for 90 minutes. So I'm not, you know, we're not going to go all night with that, but as much as I want to, because trust me, I could talk all night. But yeah, there are so many fears and so many doubts and so many worries and so many concerns and so many things that come up when you're trying to do things, or when you're thinking of getting started, that it's okay to consider that a factor. It is absolutely okay. But don't let that be the end. Do not let that stop you from, giving it a shot and everything. I'm getting ready to have my younger brother and sister placed with me. I've never been a parent before in my life. And, I'm looking at ages 10 and what is now 9. And I'm like, okay, I've never been a parent. I'm great with children. I'm very knowledgeable and very educated. And yeah, I have some concerns and I have some fears and everything like that, but I'm definitely going to make this work. Definitely going to be able to keep up with everything. No idea how, but it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
So, from my examples, from your examples, I want people to understand that those fears are always going to be there, but it's what you do with them that matters. Sure, you can let them, take over your thoughts. You can let them take over your mindset, and you could just sit at home another day, or you can take the day instead of just sitting there and figure out how to do something with it. What does this fear mean? Is it even valid? Okay, if it is valid, what am I going to do with it so I can get on to the next thing? Because even if you don't do something with that fear in the moment, a week from now, a year from now, this fear that you're holding on to is not even going to matter. Not even going to matter.
Right. And I think it's important. I think where my biggest downfall in the beginning was asking for help.
Yeah.
Like I thought, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it all. And you can't do it all. Sometimes it's okay to ask for help and to put that little extra effort into getting quality help too.
Yes.
That's important, and me, I'm kind of like anybody that would be in a field where money is being exchanged. I love everybody, how I go, I love everybody, and I just assume everybody's on the up and up, and you just
Yeah.
kind of sometimes set yourself up, sad but true, to be hurt
Yeah.
and taken from. I hate to say that I'm a little bit more hard. I'm not hard, but I'm just not as gullible, I guess, in business
Sure.
as I was in the beginning.
Yeah.
It is a business. Not everybody is your best friend.
Absolutely.
And even though they might try to act like it, there is a fine line that you have to draw between business and your relation, your outside relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, for me, coming from the family that I come from and everything like that, unfortunately I have to be careful with that. I have to be careful as to what it is I'm surrounding myself with, who it is I'm involving myself with, and everything, because in order for me to be able to say, oh yeah, I've had these experiences in life, or I've been through these things in life, and yeah, totally look up my information, look up my name and everything, and I'll help you through it. Okay, well, I can't do that if I'm surrounding myself with certain people and I'm being negative all the time, or if I'm, making bad decisions all the time. And like you're talking about, having that support in that environment is really crucial, and asking for help. I know firsthand, I don't like asking people for help at all, because I'm someone who doesn't want to take away from people. I'm someone who, if I can't do it myself, or if I can't get it myself, then I feel bad for people, doing it for me and everything. But then it does get to a certain point, and you have certain situations come up where it's like, okay, it's not a question about whether or not this needs done. It needs done. Okay. But I need someone to help me get it done so I can get to this next part, to get to this next stage and everything. So that was actually going to be one of my questions for you of, how important is support to you, and what has support looked like for you since the start of your business to where you're at today?
Well, that's a good question, because when I 3 years ago, when I opened up the shop now,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do this right this time,
Yeah.
and because I want that part to be as successful as my readings were, because my readings were carrying the business from the get-go.
Sure.
But I wanted that to carry itself because,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm not young. You know, I was wanting that to grow because that's my retirement, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this time I was like, okay, I'm going to do everything that I can to do it right, get quality help, get things done right, you know. And what I did is I actually hired from the get-go a business manager, like a consultant.
Yeah.
And they came in and helped me get my, you know, my handbook written, you know, help me set goals and help me do my tagline for my, you know, for my marketing and things like that. And so that was something that, you know, I'm not that smart. So I didn't know really how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much it kept me, pulled everything together. And actually made a foreseeable goal business wise.
Yeah.
And you know, they do research too, and he come in, he was like, wow, Brenda, let me show you these graphs, and you know, compared to 5 years ago, here's you can't fail. And it was nice hearing that from someone who was strictly doing only research, having a very biased opinion. And he was like, I'll be shocked if you don't do well. And that made me feel so much better. But just having everything written down, having those goals, having those, you know, my plan laid out, that was really helpful. So if I would say, if anybody's starting out, you know, just to hire him for a time period, you know, a month or two, just to help you get that together is really worth it.
Right. Absolutely. And that's very important. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the things that that I wanted to put out there, but I wasn't like the right time or the right conversation hadn't come up yet to really go over this, you know, is recognizing when is the right time to ask for that help and to get that support. Go ahead.
I am so sorry. Somebody's beating my door down
Oh,
out
please
there.
help yourself. You're
Hold
okay.
on just a second.
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
You're completely okay. Definitely take your time.
You know, I apologize.
You're completely fine. I promise. I'm not upset or anything.
I had the door locked, but my daughter locked herself out of the car.
like I said in the beginning, I mean, like you said, just be myself. Yeah, we're human. Things come up. It's completely okay. But no, so going off the point that you had made and everything about knowing when to ask for help, it's also important to recognize when to know when to do something and when not to do something. So like, obviously, like you said earlier, you want to make money for your own purposes and everything. There is that intention there. I have that intention. I would love for this to be successful to where I can do this full time, have a, fun, busy life. But at the same time, it's also important to recognize I'm not there yet. I'm not looking to sell videos or work to people right now. I'm not looking to sell my time to people because I don't feel credible enough, or, I don't feel like I have enough in my foundation to be able to offer that to someone. When I think of what it takes to purchase something from someone, having that credibility, having that proof to say, here, yeah, I've actually been involved in this, and here's proof, and here's my results and everything like that. That's very important to me because, like I said, yes, I have the goal of making money one day, but we're not there yet. And just like it was important for you to recognize, okay, if I want, the benefit of this, if I want the rewards of my efforts, I have to get to that point where I can have the rewards of my efforts. And in order for me to get there, I have to ask for help. And, that's so very important.
Yeah. And, something like a retail business, you have to, there's a lot that goes into retail, with the,
Sure.
oh gosh, the marketing, the, online presence, and, you have software you have to buy, and, just getting advice from, like you said, someone that's been there, done that, kind of like they're getting from you.
Yeah.
It's very helpful in a new business like that.
Absolutely. So one thing, a bit of a hard, I don't want to say harder, but like a deeper question here is like, has there ever been a time when, in between you making a business out of your readings alone, or, even after you set up shop, has there ever been a time when like things got so questionable for you that you weren't sure if this was going to work out, and how did you get through that?
Well, that was the part where I kind of drew back from the store.
Okay.
Only because, retail space is not cheap.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is that space, worth the rent that I'm paying?
Right. Yeah.
So that's a big question. Like, it has to, in the beginning in 2009 when I opened, of course I couldn't know that, right?
Right.
And you might not know in the beginning.
Yeah.
But after 3 or 4 years, it was like, now wait a minute, all my money's being made back there doing readings in a 12 by 12 room. I don't need all this.
Yeah.
So, which is, I downsized and kind of, and then I moved to another spot in Powell, which was smaller, and did that for a while. But there was always this need up at the north end here. So, after you get asked so many times, and I myself couldn't find things, had to, drive all the way downtown.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, maybe I should do this. But then again, too, getting older and thinking, I can't keep this up forever. So that was the time I had to change. I had to change and rethink the business and go, okay, well, which is kind of ironic. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Scare Fest before. Have you?
I have, yeah.
Okay, I love horror films. I mean, I'm kind of a sci-fi horror film kind of person.
Same, very much the same.
And you stick me in a room with anybody, they will point me out. I don't know if it's the red hair or what. Like, I don't know if anybody out there has heard of a psychic called Chip Coffey. He was on a show called Paranormal State for a long
Okay.
time. And he was like a guest psychic at this scare fest in Kentucky. I went all the way down to Lexington, Kentucky, and we even came in halfway through his lecture,
Oh gosh.
which to me was a little bit disrespectful. I mean, I didn't, so I'm kind of sneaking in the back and sit
Sure.
down in the back, and it got time for the readings. He kind of walks around, does readings. Sure enough, he goes, "You in the back." And I was like, "Me?" And that happens all the time. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it does. He said, "What do you want to know?" And I said, "Well, I am thinking about totally dissolving my retail store." This was during the time I was wanting to cut back, right?
Mhm.
When I was in Powell. And I said, because really my money maker is my readings. Do you see that being a good thing? He goes, "No, you're going to have to open your retail store eventually. You might as well just keep it open." And I went, "But it's not really, I'm paying more in rent." And he was like, "Go ahead and argue with me, whatever you want to do, but you're going to have a retail store." So he told me that even before I drew back, that
Yeah.
that I was going to have to open it up again. And I half believed him, but here we are.
Right. Absolutely. I
So you
mean,
never know.
exactly that. You never know. And that's it's so important. And I'm someone who could be repetitive at times. So, and I understand that I'm about to be repetitive, but it's so important. Self-doubt is a very real thing, but it does not have to be the end. It does not have to be what makes you stop altogether or anything like that. I mean, you know, coming from everything that I came from, and not really like I said, anything credible, and I'm being repetitive here, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do this. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to have a personality that people would want to have a conversation with, or want to talk to get advice from, or whatever the situation is. But it's that thing of trusting your instinct, and sometimes it takes someone to be able to tell you, no, go and do this. You had that experience with that individual who from his own reading was able to tell you, yeah, get the shop, keep the shop open and everything, because you're going to need it eventually anyways. And you did that, and you're having the life that you're having right now. And I think, I mean, it's so exciting to hear that success. It's so exciting. I can talk. It's so exciting to be able to hear that real experience. And because that's what all of this is about, life talks, the experiences, the conversations, being able to connect with people. It's proving to people that these things can happen, and they can definitely happen for you. And I just wish more people understood that.
Yeah, you just got to kind of find your thing. I believe, you know, um, like you say, you love to interview, you love to um, talk, you love to
Yeah.
write, and that's your thing.
Yeah.
And you have to make your thing work for you. And mine was always, I could always relate to people, and I could always um, be really real with them on a level that they told me things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they did.
Yeah.
And I'm also too kind of like you. I always like to talk too. I like to talk too
Yeah.
much. They have. I've been teaching psychic development classes since 2009 full time, all but
Wow.
during the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every week, I'm teaching a room full of people, and I've done talks down at the expo center, and people's like, have you thought about, do you have an outline here? I'm like, no. Just, I felt like Adam Sandler in The Wedding Singer, just give me the microphone. And it was on. Let's go.
Yeah.
And to me, it's find your thing and do it with integrity and belief in yourself. I always tell people, we're all the light of the world. We're all the sun. If you could imagine the sun, if I was to ask a room full of 100 people, where do you want to go to feel good, to feel comforted, to feel happy, to feel joy, we'd all go to the beach, right? Yeah. Well, when you're the light or the sun, who don't want to be around it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you walk in, you're just like, hey, who don't want to be around it?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just from being able to talk with you, because admittedly, like when I was thinking of like who to have this conversation with, like I put out the ads on the community forum and everything like that. Hey, I'm looking for a small business owner to have a conversation with me for the segment live talks that I'm doing. And, and I'm like, okay, but who do I want to reach out to and everything like that? Like, aside from going to your shop a couple of weeks ago, like I did not do any research on you or anything like that. Just from the experience that I had there at Mystic Nirvana, like that's what I was basing off of. Okay, this individual, I do believe that I can have a conversation with, that they're going to have information that we can talk about and everything that other people could really use, because look at their success, look at their presentation. It's so professional and it's so just put out there for people to come and enjoy. And I mean, just like going off of what you said, you just make it your own. And I absolutely love that. And that's very, very crucial here for anyone watching this. If you're in those beginning stages of not being sure of how to craft it or how to cultivate, and you're doing the research and you're ready to trial and error, try and make it work. When I started doing social media advertising, when I first got my YouTube channel up and going, like if I play that video back from the very first one to how I'm doing them now, I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Why did I edit it like this? Why? And I'm sure, a month to 6 months and a year down the road, I'll be looking back at this one and thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah.
But it's being genuine and it's making it your own. And that, I believe, is what, pushes people home to success in their own ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, find your thing.
Yeah.
And find, like you mentioned, find the things that you like to do too. Yeah. And kind of, if you can get them both together, like I said, I'm a sci-fi kind of horror. So, being a medium is kind of right up my alley. Not that I pull in negative or gory stuff or anything. Yeah. But I do have a lot of really ghostly experiences. That's kind of cool. I mean, I'm here in this building that was built in 1852. It was it was called the Stoner Inn and Tavern when it was opened. Okay. It was station number 2 out of 4 in Westerville that had a walled off room in the basement where they hid runaway slaves 10 years before the Civil War. That's still there right now. I could take you down in that hidey hole. That's what I call it, the hidey hole. Yeah. And I have articles where, they said the bounty hunters would come, and it was walled off from the entire basement, even though it was down there, that they would invite the bounty hunters down there to walk around because they knew they couldn't find them because it was walled off. The only entrance was through some hole back here by a tree that they had to cross. But I have got, and they also ran a stagecoach line from here to Columbus and back. And the guy, George Stoner, was known to be make it to Columbus and back the fastest of any stagecoach, that the Otterbein students would line up on both sides of the road and cheer him on. He was like some kind of Mario Andretti of stagecoaches, you know?
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, there's so much interesting facts. But I have got the stagecoach on camera. I've got people walking away from it dressed in 1800. I got a woman holding a old-fashioned doctor's bag. Come to find out, after I got the picture, in my retail space is the home of the first woman physician ever in Westerville in 1904. Yeah,
Wow.
her name was Dr. Smallwood. And that was where she conducted her practice.
Yeah.
So for me to get that woman with that doctor's bag carrying it from the stagecoach on camera too,
right.
is crazy.
Yeah, that is really intense. So today, actually, I was doing research on your website and everything, trying to get more of a feel so I could hopefully establish more of a personal connection with you while we talked and everything. And doing that, I seen like a lot of your camera videos of like the shop and the after hours and everything, and just like a lot of the orbs that, you know, were going on, and, you know, the figures and everything. I was just blown away by that. I mean, it's really remarkable stuff.
Yeah, because that's, you know, again, that's something that I do, but I like too. So,
Yeah.
you know, and there's not a lot of people like to talk about stuff like that. So, you know, it's a niche in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, one of, and I'm kind of glad that you worded it that way, actually. How you pointed out that there's people who are not into it. But then again, there are people who are into it. Like, there is that community, and, you know, just like with your shop, there also is that market and everything. And, you know, the one thing that I think a lot of people don't really consider is that this planet that we live on is a giant planet. Okay, it is very, very big, filled with a lot of people, and there are a lot of different people out there. So there's all these different interests, there's all these different, you know, efforts, you know, coming off of people and everything like that. I've not come across someone who could not find a sense of community somewhere. Like, you know, I have a lot of experience in these different areas that we won't go into today, but, you know, just the conversations that I'll have with people, and they'll be like, but, you know, I kind of keep that to myself and everything. I'm like, well, do you want to keep that to yourself? Because if not, I can help guide you to, you know, a sort of community, or, you know, a resource or something like that. And just like when it comes to the paranormal, just like when it comes to a lot of the mystical aspects of life, you have cultivated that into your own success, into your life. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing I was very, very cautious about when I first opened back in 2009 was staying true to who I was and how I wanted to be viewed.
Yeah.
I want to be viewed as someone who, you know, I didn't walk around wearing no weird outfit or putting major, you know, glitter on my eyelids or something. Not against anybody that does that, but I'm just,
Yeah.
a lot of people tell me, you don't look like a reader. I don't know what they have in their mind, you know,
right.
what I'm supposed to look like, but, you know, but I wanted to portray somebody just very common and very proud of
Yeah.
who I was. You know, not go be in a room with a bunch of gang of, you know, hoarder stuff going on behind me, but you know,
Yeah.
like, I want to make sure it's clean, it's put together,
Yeah.
And it portrays who I am as a person
Right.
and shows some kind of self-worth.
Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's very important in starting a business, that you come across as someone who needs to be listened to.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy one time tell me a long time ago, when I was in sales,
Yeah.
my cubicle was all blowed up with all these papers, and because like I said, I'm ADHD, and I was going from one
Yeah.
thing to the next. And he came over to my cube and he goes, Brenda, he said, your surroundings is a reflection of what's going on the inside. And I went, ooh.
That got deep.
So, I know people do care about your surroundings,
Yes.
how you dress, how you, that just like back to the equipment you said that you're buying, it's putting off an air of like, I have value.
Yeah.
And so that is important.
Yeah.
You have to, even though you might not be able to afford the best,
Right.
you can still make it look great.
Yes.
My mom always said when I was being raised, we didn't have a whole lot, there was, but my mom said, but you always got to be clean and smelling good. And your clothes clean and you're smelling good. And you can always comb your hair and put on a little makeup. You don't have to look like you don't have much,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. 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 And that brings up such a personal point for me. And this is, I think, back when I first started back in this December, or maybe I didn't put the video out until January, I had talked about, when it comes to tending to your garden, having that idea of what it's going to look like when you're here. You may be here right now, but what is it going to look like? How are you going to act when you are at this point? Okay, well, if that's going to be the case here, eventually this person has to be this person in order to get here. So at what point along the way are you going to start doing that? Are you going to wait until this person is further and further away because you're not doing it? Or are you going to start doing it now where you are right now? And, with that comes change, right? With that comes, okay, so maybe I don't have the most presentable wardrobe. I need to kind of do a change of wardrobe. Maybe I don't surround myself with the best like-minded people. Okay, so maybe I stop hanging out with them as often, not that I have to cut them off, but I need to find my tribe. I need to find that community of like-minded individuals. So I can definitely resonate with that, because over the last several years, I've been in the process of doing those changes to get to where it is that I want to be and start, behaving that way and acting like that now. So for me, at least, and hopefully for everyone watching this, that's very validating to hear you say that. And it's very, very important. And I hope that people keep that in mind going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That was number one thing. I was like, because like you said, you never know what eyes are looking at you.
Yeah.
So, if I'm putting off a less than, good light on myself, then who knows, now they've got an opinion about my business or who I am. And, maybe never come here.
Yeah.
Because of that one moment, and not to say I haven't had some moments which have not been so good. Let's get real, okay?
Yeah.
I've had my moments,
Sure.
but for the most part, I always, there's a saying in Kentucky, which is where I'm from. Sometimes you just got to keep talking it till you walk it.
Yeah.
Even if there's things about you you're fearful about, or you don't quite 100% know, then you just got to keep saying it. eventually you'll start walking the walk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I can definitely relate to and validate to being 100% true, because I remember in the beginning stages, before, I even started doing any of this, and I was still in that thinking process, and I would have conversations with people about it. My goal in life is to be an aspiring speaker. Okay, but you just did this, and someone who wants to be a speaker wouldn't do that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I made a mistake there. I'm not exactly sure how to get to where it is that I want to go, but I am in that process of trial and error. And guess what? I'm always going to be in that process of trial and error. Sure, you want to get to a point to where it's like, common sense stuff, don't be doing that anymore. But at the same time, it's equally important to recognize where you are and where you want to go, to recognize where you are not. And what learning you have to do and everything like that. I mean, it's so very important. And kind of like how you mentioned earlier, owning a business is a lot of work. There is a lot of background work and everything like that. And probably, I would say, and the most important work that you are going to do is on yourself first, because without you, that idea is not going to happen at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that brings up something that I recently have done, and I've done a lot of work on myself recently because it was getting overwhelming, and that I had to take a step back and like, okay, let's give Brenda some time,
Yeah.
because you can only give so much before you run out of steam.
Absolutely.
But I do have to say this too, that right now, just in the last year, for anybody out there that is hopeful of a business or starting a business, now is the time. I have seen in the last year, and I know you probably heard other small business owners say this, my business has blowed up.
I love
just
that.
in the last 8 months, like
Wow.
tripled, 3 or 4 times more than the previous year.
Yeah.
So right now, people are shopping, people are at home thinking about, how can I make my business better? Who can I call? Where can I go? So the opportunities, they're fixing up their home, they're, whatever. They're looking for small business owners because they're doing all these things, taking care of their self, kind of like I did. I took a step back, and they're doing a step back too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. And I'm glad that you're sharing that, because timing, right? Like, timing is important. Where you're at in the year, where like the economy is at and everything like that. Right now, especially, there's a lot of people who are doubting, like, I should not even do this because of, the world has been shut down for so long and everything like that. But to hear you say that, actually, no, I'm having the opposite effect, and, my business is booming and I'm doing great because, of the effect of a very unfortunate pandemic and everything. I mean, that go for it, people. Go for it. Get it started today, please.
Exactly.
Please, we need that.
And I want to say this too. I'm at this transition again because it's getting so big. Like, I'm a control freak too, kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
But I've been doing all the pricing, all the inventory, all the unpacking, all the employee schedule, and all the monies, and doing my readings, and it's just getting overwhelming. So now I'm at this stage, like, down deep, I'm going, whoa, this could really blow up. Like, I know it in my soul. And I'm still trying to, and this is a learning thing I'm going through now. I can see myself almost restraining my
Yeah.
business, which is not good.
Right.
So, right now I've got to start loosening up those ties and again try to find somebody that can help me so that I can be freed up to do what I do, but
Yeah.
that grow,
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, you go through phases where, things change. You look back and you go, wow. But, it's a growing thing I'm going through now too. And I know it. It's just, I don't know the process, but I know it's going to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I am not one to give business advice at all. And I'm just kind of trying to go off like the energy of this conversation and just from what it is that I'm learning from you. But, definitely if you feel like, you're having the real success of, things are doing very well for you. And if you feel like just kind of loosening that and just letting it go and letting it grow more, if you feel it, definitely go for it. I mean, that's you've gotten yourself to this point, by trusting that instinct. Definitely continue following that. That's amazing.
and that goes for you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That truly does mean a lot. And, to be transparent with everyone, which is, what Life Talks is all about here. You are the first person that I've ever had a conversation with in terms of what I'm trying to do professionally. That's not an immediate connection. Like you and I don't know each other on a real life basis. We've never worked together before in a professional setting or anything like that. I literally just reached out to you the other day and everything. And, here we are having a conversation today. And, so I was nervous. I'm like, okay, I know I can talk to people. I know I can have conversations with people, but this is my first professional conversation with someone. I want this to really excel. And I'm definitely happy with how this conversation has turned out. And, I'm definitely happy with a lot of your experiences that you've shared, which I'm so grateful for. Like, it's amazing. And just overall, really, I'm really thankful that you took the time, for this, because people, I hold a high value for people, and with that is obviously their time. You are in all these different roles right now with your business. You are in all these different roles right now with your life, but you agreed to, okay, I'm going to give 60 to 90 minutes out of my day to be able to, meet with someone virtually to have a conversation with, and everything. And that just, I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, that's only because I expect to talk to you again in a year and you're going to go, wow, it's blowing up.
I will definitely, we can definitely make that happen. Definitely make
Yeah,
that happen.
I'm excited for you and where you're going to. I mean, really, you did a great job. I never would have even dreamed that I was the first person, total stranger you've ever talked to.
Yeah.
You're kind of got that wedding singer, spirit too,
Thank you. Thank you.
So we call that fly by the seat of our pants, right?
Yeah.
But I think you did awesome, very professional. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah.
I love helping people. I love sharing, stuff with people.
Yeah.
Like my downfalls, and I'm real, so they don't have to make the same mistakes I did. We can, as older that I get, the more I'm thinking, why would you spend all that time? Let me tell you what not to do, because
Right.
I did it. Yeah, save yourself some embarrassment there.
Yeah, sure. So we are getting close on time, and I do want to honor the time that you offered me today. So on a closing note, if someone came to you and they said they had an idea of, wanting to start a business, maybe it's, a small idea of, okay, I want to ask this person out, whatever it is, and they were nervous and thinking of not doing it, what would you say to them?
I would say, what do you have to lose except for this great dream? If you don't at least try.
Yeah.
who knows what it could be. I mean, if I give up on my dream and just let it die, I probably would have regretted it forever.
Oh yeah.
And regret is the worst thing ever to live with. So I always say, jump out there, take your chances. At least you won't have regret that you didn't try.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And excuse me, like I said, burps. It's something that you see in movies, like right when someone's older and they're talking about regrets, but people do have those experiences. You do get older, or you miss an opportunity at something and you're left with that regret. Why set yourself up for that? Why? What regret feels like. It's a very nasty emotion to feel, to carry around with you, and it lasts a lifetime. So if you can have the option of either regret or happiness and experience, it's definitely a no-brainer right there. Choose the risk, choose the happiness, figure out how to make it happen, and definitely make it happen, because one day you can either be like me and getting to have conversations with people, or you can be like lovely Brenda here and have her wonderful experiences and successes that she continues to have even through a pandemic, because she is badass.
In Dewey Cox's story, it's a goofy movie, but he sings at the end, he said, it's a wonderful ride. And I always say, that's what life's all about, is riding that thrill ride, that roller coaster of ups and downs. And if you don't at least try, you might miss on that, woo,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it makes it worth it. Makes life worth it.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. But all right, my dear. Well, I'm going to
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you as well, especially for, being so vulnerable with me, for the longevity. I know we kind of had like a rocky start as far as like technical errors, and I'm so sorry for that. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And yes, in a year, we will definitely reconvene, but hopefully before that as well.
Well, good luck on your success. I know you're going to have it.
Thank you so much.
And that's my psychic story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, a year from now, we will definitely reconvene.
All right. Well, bye. Thank
Thanks,
you
Brenda.
so much for having me.
Of course. Bye.
Bye. Bye.